Everything else was just a rehearsal for this. A performance poem, a book written for reading aloud, for performing, over 4 hours one afternoon in a cocktail bar in Great Yarmouth. What if I wrote something specifically for this very occasion? This occasion in the future, which I am currently imagining. An afternoon in Great Yarmouth. I'm thinking it's warm outside because being warm and sunny makes everything feel better. Although I owe everything, or so much anyway, to Wet Leg, more on that later, I'm currently listening to Fireworks by First Aid Kit on repeat. I listened to it the day I made the paper, more on that later too, and I'm listening to it now as I start this. What I am very optimistically imagining will one day be read out by me as I stand, dressed possibly in silver trousers or a silver skirt, both from River Island, of course, the only shop in Great Yarmouth. That is not a criticism. In fact, for me, it's praise. For one thing, I am rarely sarcastic, and even if I were to be critical, I would probably edit it out. I have Pollyanna tendencies, which I agree can be annoying, even to myself. I would prefer it if there were only limited choices of toothpaste, so I enjoy that I buy things from River Island in the sale or from the Elizabeth Hospice shop, where everything is often £1. I am a fan of voluntary simplicity. I am also a fan of interstitial time and of the grit in the oyster. I admire the long alleyways, cobbles shiny with rain, bins overflowing, shopping trolleys, and seagulls. Always a seagull, always a shopping trolley. And butterflies, so many, on my next door neighbour's outside light, large ones pinned to the walls of houses, printed on plastic and put in windows, net curtains, wheelie bin stickers, the bug house, on bags, shopping trolleys, even on estate agent signs. B in Japan recently introduced me to Fireworks by First Aid Kit. Does she want me to call her by her name? I suppose I can ask her. We met online. She admired my height of craziness, inspired and well-written blogs about getting rid of everything. More on that later. I admired her beautifully written blogs about being in Tokyo. I went to visit her, and now, more than 4 years later, we are in a kind of coven together. Even if no one's there, just do it. To set an intention and to follow it through. Is there a special way to look after your voice? Do radio presenters drink something special? Do they plan out how to take it in turns? Do they have to be quiet when they get home? Is there an art to talking for 4 hours or 3? If Ulysses takes 40 hours, maybe this could take 4. The day I made the paper, 1. The day I made the paper, 2. Getting rid of everything. Marina Abramovich and the Wolf Moon, January's full moon, Hayley, Book, Julie, NAC. Sometimes we send each other songs. Of course, they can't all hit, but when they do. Bjork writing her own story. Bug Like an Angel, the soundtrack to a week of sadness, mirroring the day I made the paper too. A lot is written nowadays about manifesting, the word thrown around by so many people. It's still a surprise to see tarot books, even my witch book and my tarot cards, in W.H. Smith and G.Y. Okay, shouldn't be surprised. We have a long witchy history here. But it still surprises us. Crystals, all that stuff that made us weird, now mainstream. We could have made money. Who are we kidding? We haven't even properly organised pension provision. But if I am writing my future, which, let's face it, is complicated as one gets older because, well, let's just say we're on the downhill slope. And yet, I feel so vibrant at times, so engaged, so full of life at times. I feel so full of ideas and in the place to do it. There's all these things here. I know I'm not an artist. I'm not in the circus. I'm not a musician. I'm not one of the cool kids. I'm not one of the middle classes, most of whom seem to only appear at the seafront near Northgate on Sundays. Yet I appreciate everything here. I love that there's gigs at the Drill Hall and the basement of the Empire. I'm no longer a punk and I'm not that wild anymore. But I love that there are punk gigs at Colossal Youth with big pans of veggie chili and music in the basement and people outside on trestle tables and down the alleyways. I love it all. I don't belong in any of those places though. Not really. And so maybe that's what I'm doing. I'm building a place or a situation into which, just for an afternoon, I can step inside and be me. And just for an afternoon, belong. Yes, it's egocentric, possibly egocentric, to design an afternoon performing at a cocktail bar, reading aloud a performance poem, book, well, not a poem, a small book, but written for performance, standing in silver trousers that appeared in River Island. I saw them from outside and my heart fell in love. However, even with a Black Friday discount which made them under £40, I didn't buy them. I have imagined myself in Julie's kitchen on a party night, as that was all I could imagine, as we don't go out. But then they appeared in the sale for £9.80, and well, how could I say no? To that beautiful universe gift. So I have some silver trousers, stiff like a David Bowie video, and a silver skirt, like out of something like that. And a silver skirt and a black top with stand-up frills and a beautiful dress that looks kind of like butterflies but isn't. And I'm becoming a butterfly. For fuck's sake, there's even a mural of it. I used to call it a butterfly mural. Well, I still do. But it's called Metamorphosis. And actually at least half is about the caterpillar. And is actually at least half about the caterpillar and the cocoon, as it is about the butterfly. A huge orange monarch butterfly right there. What is it that makes this a performance poem? I must stop calling it a performance poem, or whatever it is. When I mentioned this idea and showed her my notes, played them as was me talking on a video, my friend Hayley, drama trained, in the weekend of the Wolf Full Moon, said, "Are you going to stand up there and write it as you go along?" What a fucking wild idea. No, that would be wild, but no. But perhaps I could do bits, a blank page here and there, where I have to stop for a beat. A breath, stop for a beat, a breath, and look at the audience. I mean, who am I kidding? This isn't being deliberately self-deprecating, but if someone asked me, do you want to come to a cocktail bar and listen to me read out a book for the afternoon? Okay, well, I'm me, so I'd want to, but anyway. It's about the idea and following it through, not about the audience, although I would and will be, and okay, we're manifesting here, am grateful to each and every one of you, even if, especially if, it's just the bartender looking quizzically over as this. So let's take a breath together, shall we? Because this is what it's really all about. It's about us here together right now. As much or as little of this as you want to. But I thought we could just breathe together now. Just noticing our breath for once. Noticing our breath for once. For once, the breath that's always with us. The air in our lungs. Our bodies in the chair. Our feet on the ground. Our hands feel of our hands resting in our laps. Maybe. The tension. All the things we worry about. All the things that I worry about. If anyone else worries about them, then you know you aren't alone, and maybe that makes you feel a little bit better. A prepared list. An ad hoc list of what I've been worrying about just around the time of this performance. Oh, the tension that we all carry, and that which we could, just for a moment, let go. And even if one person agrees to take a breath in, and then very slowly out, and noticing that sweet feeling of that peace just at the edges of our everyday existence, then all of this will have been worth it. Since we're living in the present, I'll tell you that as I wrote this, what is it that I speak of? Okay, since we're living in the present, I'll tell you that as I wrote this, I actually listened to the whole album, Ruins, by First Aid Kit. I wrote 1,437 words on the afternoon after I'd met Helen. I found out she was into cards, when I never knew that, and we've known each other since our kids were at middle school. I got home and the plumber had finished the new toilet. I know this sounds so very middle-aged to have builders around and to have a toilet put in and to be excited that this is finished. It is middle-aged to lie in bed and worry about what would happen if you got ill and old. This last more from my husband. I'm an occupational therapist, so I just use a commode or shit in a bag. You can get ones off Amazon. There's not enough about bodily functions in most books, I don't think. Hence the wetlands admiration. Or maybe I haven't told you about this yet. Inspired by wetlands, wet leg, Ulysses, and the art of asking. Do I need to explain? Probably not. Probably just show as I go. Show not tell, they always say at writing classes. Do I mention that I saw and photographed an advert for a poetry class at Red Herring? I admire the place and person from a distance. Again, so happy it's there. But unlike the circus, this is actually something I could actually get involved in. This is something I could actually get involved in. Julie told me a funny story about Circus Drill Hall. I sent her an ad. She said, "Shall we do it?" I can't, I don't think. The afternoon felt light and spacious, and happy, I guess. I had a good visit. I was relaxed. We had a good time. We talked about making things. It's so good to talk about making things. Especially for us older women. Not just what our kids are doing, but what we are doing. Making books, writing plays, directing plays, teaching, writing stories. I didn't tell her about this. Well, obviously not, because this wasn't written until the afternoon. But not even the idea, which was already there. Usually, I'd rather do something first, in case I don't do it. But I have told Julie and Hayley, and shown Hayley the videos, which is part of it. Show your workings. I told the plumber, his name is Andy, that I would be out from 9:30 till 1:30. At 1:18 he called me and said he was finished. I was on King Street, near St George's Theatre. "I'm 5 minutes away," I said. "You can just go if you need to. I'm 5 minutes away." "I'll wait for you," he said. It might have been closer to 10. I arrived home, hot. He was outside. He showed me the work, a flushing toilet and a working sink, flooring, pipework. It wasn't an easy job, and our stairs are very steep. It has been half done for so long, I don't suppose I thought it was ever going to be finished. Sounds melodramatic, I know. But all of a sudden, here it is. Like when things go slowly, and then all of a sudden they're done. It can be hard to accept. Luckily, there's still a little bit to finish off by someone else, then put the room back, and then that really is it. Peeing is one thing, but I think I will be very scared to have a poo in it. Or at least the first few times anyway. For no rational reason, obviously. And a pause, or put in early, to look around and to see, and maybe ask a question, or respond to something, or describe something, or maybe do the 5 things. If I do this, Helen will come. That's a measure of gold. Last week, I was so anxious and depressed. I made the paper. Today I got back. The only thing on the calendar was seeing Helen. So when I got home and the plumber was done, well, not only had I had the satisfaction of the visit, I had the relief and satisfaction of the work being done and the plumber being done. No offence to Andy, who's very low maintenance, but to have one's house, husband at work, and just expansiveness, relief, happiness. Yesterday I had felt sad, the day before suicidal if I'm honest, but in a habitual way, thinking about hanging myself on a whim just to make it all stop. How long does it all have to go on for, my husband sometimes says. He's had an interesting life, but it's hard too, and the longer you do, to keep going with the getting up and the working and the issues and the ennui, or should we run away? It's all still an option, of course. But I was sad and overloaded already emotionally, and the more, and well, when it gets too much, that's where my brain goes, and the alienation and the formal management style and the, oh, this is where we play a song, the one with the MGMT trip hop sample. I'd like to say it's my favourite genre, that sounds good, but just out of that lot. The original was playing when we met a client the other day. We spent an evening looking up drill and grime and trap. My son laughed when I told him. I was on the boat, not in between, we'd already moved, but we'd gone back to clean, still had the boat. The client said, "Don't burn yourselves out over me," he said as a joke, probably picking up that we were burnt out, not necessarily about him, but other things. But it's not him, and it's not even him, even if it was him. You know, we're strong enough to deal with anything. I was offered help, but I got put my big girl's pants on and just got on with it. Be the strongest person at your father's funeral, or mother's in my case. I am meeting someone at the gate. Maybe they're going to be homeless, but I need a plan and a list, and armed with a plan and contacts not to be overwhelmed. I need to be strong, not overwhelmed by the failures of the system. The prisons are full, so release people early even if they have nowhere to go and loads of needs. And when I ring up the Salvation Army place, "Oh, please put money in those tins, guys," he calmly says, "Yes, that's not uncommon." We open at 8 or 9. We have hot drinks, we have showers, advice, referrals, the hostels come. He may have to sleep in the streets, but we have sleeping bags. He hasn't got any clothes. I last saw him in stained prison tracksuit. He might not have a coat, I said. We might be able to help with that. We have a charity shop. We can give him something. And we might be able to help. Don't worry. Yes, we can help with that. Like at A&E, I guess. You don't want the doctors to be so overwhelmed with what they're saying that they can't help you. You want people to act as if it's just normal. Because in that world, that is what's normal and what's going on. No good being angry or shocked or upset in this circumstance. Save that for another time, or not, or another person to do. Write to MP, join prison reform, be prison visitor, etc. In the meantime, what was nice that while the situation seemed to me horrifying and I didn't want to look, this man looks and does, and so wasn't shocked, and he was able to calmly advise. It's wrong that it's normal to sleep on the streets, but if you are in that situation, you need someone who is armed and ready to help you, not someone incapacitated by empathy and righteous anger. I haven't explained That man, he's not from an agency batting it off. He's a volunteer on the chalk face, calmly explaining what to do and what they can do to help, should the worst happen. But in the meantime, possibly right now, as I write this, on a Friday afternoon, my sacred Friday afternoons or mornings, sometimes tarot, sometimes writing, sometimes witch club prep, I am writing a place that I can belong. I am writing it in words, but I am writing it for off the page in a creation of a physical space, or at least an afternoon. I am building an afternoon out of words, an afternoon I can belong in. Come ye who don't belong anywhere. I bear no responsibility for you, but I will care for you, do some breathing, love you for the afternoon in my own way, and we can belong together. Or possibly already done. My manager, distant as he is, not only extended the offer of a chat to unload emotionally, I declined, but thanked him. Better for me to make a plan, a to-do list, and a to-do, and to-do, a to-do list and to-do. Julie at work remembered the homeless bag, or care bag, we have, with a silver blanket and toothbrush, etc., lovingly put together for anyone who needs. I thought about it in the middle of the night and forgot. But this distant manager is working hard and hopefully has already set in motion. I won't know until afterwards. Already fixed. Or set in motion. I won't know till afterwards. For the purpose of this, whatever happens or happened to this one individual, there are others every day. Prison reform, IPP, prison visitor, release drugs, employ people. On this, let's take a break, change topic altogether, and go back to things I said ages ago, more on later. Time for a cocktail or a mocktail. Am I drinking? Am I? All that is a topic, maybe. So it might seem egotistically or pretentiously, wrote a performance poem, not even a poem, to perform one afternoon in Great Yarmouth in a cocktail bar, just so that I could have something or somewhere or something or just one afternoon where I feel I belonged. Well, that's not totally true, of course. I felt I belonged this afternoon with Helen, walking, eating avocado bagels and drinking tea, sitting on a beautiful old red velvet sofa in Cafe 1903, I did, and at home with my husband, wherever that home may be. Or was this simply somewhere for me to wear my new clothes in? My sparkly butterfly dress. Oh, kitty. My silver space age trousers and black top outfit. My silver skirt. Am I having costume changes now? Or doing more than one afternoon? Or practicing at spoken words? True stories in Norwich? Somewheres yet unidentified in Ipswich. Broken spoke at the drill hall, maybe. Even Colossal Youth have poets, but that's a tough crowd. Even I don't want it. Don't really want it. It's got to have red velvet sofas, this place. I do hope it does. "2,873 words written in one sitting, legs bent, at the old coffee table that boomeranged back, and that I am so grateful for that it did. All the lost things. Nothing's really lost. It's in my memory if I want it. And now is where it's at. Where are we now? We're here together on a sunny afternoon in a cocktail bar in Great Yarmouth. We're here together because we decided to be, and for that I am supremely grateful. But more than that, I'm supremely here. I really am here. I know what it took to get here. And so, now that I am here, I'm going to really be here and take a moment, to paraphrase my friend Julie, I'm going to really enjoy this cocktail mocktail. Back in the afternoon, where back in the afternoon where I'm writing this, I'm going to correct the multitude of red that comes as fingers fly, as if possessed, then stop for tea and feed the cat and put on TalkSport as it's nearly 4, and that means Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent. I've become irrationally attached to these people. More on that later. I read TalkSport generally and how it is made, how anything is made. My books, this, making something. We're always making something. We're all building something. Every interaction, the man in the public toilet today, gappy teeth, people would ignore him. Helen outside, looking at the sea, me tucking in my layers and obsessively wiping, OCD, Northamptonshire Radio and the boat and Norfolk Treasure Quest and Acid. Notes, inspired by Wetlands by Charlotte Roche, Ulysses by James Joyce, The Art of Asking by Amanda Palmer, and Wet Leg's first album. 26 minutes.